experience is the experiment.
Today's guest is an artist and songwriter who hails from Stanford, Connecticut. Not only has she found success with her music and music videos, but she is the proud owner of 11 Concussions. Please welcome today's guest, Sophia Lanuza. Did I fuck up your last name?
No, you got it better than my college.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Here, let me just move this a little closer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
What's going on? Welcome.
Thank you. I was asked to do a podcast because I conned this guy into thinking that I was a person that should be recorded when saying things.
You should be.
I think so. I don't know.
I just heard you perform. You and your band just shot something that they will see eventually. Whether this comes out first or after, we don't know. So I'm not going to say what it is, but we will make them wonder.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you want to say what it is.
No, I have no idea.
Oh, see?
I don't think this far ahead.
They don't even know what it is.
They don't know. We don't know either. Just
Your voice is fucking insane.
thank you.
Tell me how you got there, because that's just ridiculous. You were born in Connecticut?
I was born in California, in
Okay.
San Fran, and then my folks moved to New York, and I lived there for like a year. And then I don't remember any of this. And then we moved to Connecticut, and I lived in the woods with my friends. Well, in a house, but was basically just like a feral animal in the woods all my life. And they put up with me singing. And that's
What do
pretty
you
much
mean
it.
in the woods? Like you lived in the woods with a bunch of friends?
No, like my friends, my childhood friends were literally over the river and through the woods to get to their house, which is this farmhouse.
Sophia's
in the
house we
woods.
go.
Yeah, basically.
Wait, that's insane. How did you how did you end up in the woods?
That was the quickest way to their house because we were children and we
Oh,
weren't
I thought
allowed-
you meant your house was in the woods.
No, their house is in the woods, but I
I
live right
see.
next to the woods. I see how I may have led you astray there.
Is Connecticut just super dense with forest?
Yeah, that was half the reason I left California was I genuinely miss trees. Like I wish there was a deeper reason, but it was like I've always loved being in like lush rainy environments, and you watch Twilight once, you watch it a million times, and you realize like you were just destined to be in Forks, but you can't go there because I feel like everybody who goes there is about Twilight, and then you're
Yeah.
not cool anymore. So you know what I'm saying? Like you go to Connecticut, and it's
I forgot that Twilight was Connecticut.
no, it was shot in Washington, I think.
But it was supposed to be Connecticut, right?
No, it was always Washington.
Oh, I don't know much about Twilight apparently.
We can discuss that at any given time if you
Which
like.
Twilight's your favorite?
They actually made a spoof called Vampires Suck.
That's the spoof of Twilight?
Yeah,
Oh shit.
the first two. It brings me an unreasonable amount of joy. Actually, my boyfriend at the time, we were together, and this was at the point where you're still like trying to impress them, or like
Like the honeymoon stage?
yeah, like where there's like, oh yeah, everything you do is sweet and cute. So I made him watch the first two Twilights and then Vampires Suck, and I don't know how he put up with it, but he did. And I'm not going to ask any further questions because I feel like he would tell me he regrets it. And I'd like to firmly believe that this man loved Twilight.
I liked it. I don't see how anybody could hate it. I thought it was like they were good movies whether you were into the story or not. I thought so, but I might get a lot of shit for that. Start commenting, people. Give it your all.
Anyone who says that Twilight is actually, I wasn't a huge Twilight person growing up. I don't know I feel like in college when everything was changing and like you're going through your first really big change, you're like, I am a little bit scared of being an adult and that everything is changing. So you go back to the things that you like really resonate with. Like when you were a kid, Twilight was the thing, or like for me, it was Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I'm the biggest Avatar fan. One of my best friends has his dog named Appa.
Oh my God.
And he's an animator. Shout out Danny Lipsky. He's the bomb.
I'd like to talk to this man and his dog. If we're being totally
They're
honest.
incredible. The dog does fly, by the way. 100%.
That's the only way you can name somebody Appa, I think.
Absolutely. So you started singing in Connecticut, or did you start singing before you moved to Connecticut?
In Connecticut, my dad, growing up in the Philippines, he was a pianist. He was always playing piano, always very musical. So I got it from him. He gave me like this little plastic keyboard when I was a kid, and I started playing there. And I used to go with him to this retirement home in town, and he would play blues it was called the Old Folks Home. So we would go to the Old Folks Home, and there was this guy named Big Jim.
Big Jim.
He was a big guy named Jim in a wheelchair who had this weird affinity for the parrots in the building. So I would sit on his lap with the parakeet, watching my dad play Heart and Soul or some other blues standards. I don't know if that's a blues standard, but some other blues songs. and he would sing, and that's really where he and I bonded. So I think he encouraged that in me. So ever since I was a kid, he was always pushing for like, if this is what makes you happy, do it. And he would provide me like instruments, and he was always the person that listened to my music first.
Did you feel growing up, did you have like the awareness of the situation and that most people don't have the opportunity to have that kind of support? Like, was that something that you felt gave you like fuel to put on the fire? You had these people behind you? Because I feel like depending on your situation, I had a very similar situation. My parents were and are unbelievably supportive, but I know that fuel can come from so many places or lack thereof. And I know there's so many people whose parents are the first people to tell them they shouldn't do it, and that makes them so good because they have this fucking wild drive to prove them wrong.
I won't do it with support. I'll do it with spite.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you feel that support growing up, or was that something that you grew into feeling?
No, my dad has always been very, very supportive of music. As kids do, like, especially kids that are very similar to their parents, my dad and I would butt heads about everything, and he's a math guy. I'm pretty sure I got good at music because I was avoiding math homework, but I was like, I'll do something productive.
Yeah.
And Taylor Swift was also very big. I mean, she still is, but she was like, Love Story just came out, so it was like, you got to do it, because otherwise, what are you doing? But my dad was always my biggest, and it still is my biggest supporter. He's still the person that I think listens to my songs the most. Every time he goes on a work trip or he sees friends or family, he's always the one that's like, hey, this is my daughter's music. You should listen to this regardless of what it is. He'll tell me if he doesn't think something is good, but even if he doesn't, he's still like, this is
cool.
It's great.
What an amazing thing to be able to have and then also share. I feel like so many, obviously generations change and people change as they go, and you learn a little bit more, and your goal could just be to know a little bit more and be a little bit better than the foundation you grew up on.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, whether it's family or friends or whatever you bring into your life, how useful understanding how support can build a successful person is. Because that's something that you can give forever. And it's invaluable. It's the most important thing. If that's something that you can do and root people on and be like, you get it. LA fucking is tough sometimes. It can be a shitty place, or wherever you're doing this. No matter where you are, I don't care how pretty it is or how much gear you have or what instruments you have, you're gonna have days that are tougher than others. And like having that fucking support system behind you, whether it is your family or your friends. Noah's sitting off camera, and he's definitely been that for both of us.
Yes.
Everybody will know who Noah is very shortly if you don't.
In case, his name is actually Nixon.
Nixon.
I don't know which camera to look at, but I need you to know. His name is Nixon.
The one and only.
Nixon with Nixon, yes. The best guitarist ever. Basically better than God. I don't actually know if God plays guitar.
He does, twice.
Shit.
He just played twice, so he's not very good.
Oh, just twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Nixon out-guitarred God. Could you... Just if that's the only thing that comes out of this, is just Nixon out-guitarred God.
Pause for 2 seconds. Pops out of nowhere.
While we're pausing, would you hate me if I drank more tequila?
Not at all. I don't know if there is more tequila. I think we might have had it all, actually.
That's totally fine then.
Now that I think about it, I'm sorry about that.
Don't apologize. You're allowing me to be on this thing.
So you switched it from line to line. It didn't do anything. Because it's going in via line, so it only reads it as line no matter what with the Apollos, because it's feeding through the ADAT. I'm going to check mine real fast. Will you possibly turn this up? Yeah. So, how long have you had the goal of being an artist? Was it always that was kind of the lighthouse you were heading to, or did it come in the form of songwriting first, or?
I think I always loved music, but when I was a kid, I think it really became clear to me that songwriting was a thing for me. I'm sorry, I keep moving away from this.
Okay.
It was when actually my friend, she'd been my friend in middle school, and then she decided she had to move back to Japan. I was really sad, and I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. So I could not draw her anything. I couldn't make her this piece of sentimental art. So I was like,
can't draw a straight line with a ruler. That is one of my favorite things. It's I can't hit the water if I fell off a boat.
Dude, is that an expression?
That's what I was told when I played sports.
I've heard you can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah. They're all just very similar ways of letting you know that could be better what you're doing, I guess.
Well, I literally can't draw. I mean, I wish that was just an expression, but I literally can't draw a straight line with a ruler. It always kind of angles. So I made her a song, and I remember my dad heard it, and he was just like, and Haruka heard it as well, and she cried, and I cried, mostly because she was leaving, and she was like one of my closest friends at the time. And it was just that feeling of like, oh my God, I made something that is specifically for her, that she loves, and it made me feel good doing it because I can tell you how I feel without being direct, because I have a hard time. I feel like a lot of musicians have a hard time, and I don't know if you do, but like when people ask you how you feel, you're like, but then you write a song.
Such a tough time with it.
Do you ever feel like when you write songs, you figure out how you feel like about a situation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Especially, I feel like there's this inherent kind of physical being to making music where it automatically goes and becomes that little voice in the back of your head where you go, I'm writing because I'm sad. And then it's like, no, you're not writing because you're sad. You're writing because you're not willing to fix this, or because you're really upset that this person did this to you, but you're not willing to say it out loud yet. And it's just like this beautiful way of kind of like whispering to the world the things you're not willing to scream out loud sometimes.
It's a really nice way of saying avoiding what you're really feeling.
Yeah.
I showed a song to my therapist, and, the week before she'd been saying like X, Y, and Z, and then I showed her the song, and she was like, do you realize that you have processed all this stuff? You're just not acknowledging it. And a lot of people that I've talked to say the same thing, and that's what's so cool to me about songwriting. It's just like you learn how you feel about a situation, and you learn so much about a person. Like, it's not just what you're saying. It's how you're saying it. It's how you've written it in the song. And the theme that just keeps coming up, whatever that may be, like, I feel like it tells you so much about a person. And I love hearing, especially like people's just their demos or whatever, when they're just sitting in a room, like,
you can feel the shakiness, the emotion, the fear, the happiness, whatever it is that's kind of like underlying.
There's no hiding it.
It's one of my favorite things in the world. I have a buddy named Mikey Ferrari, and when you hear him sing, you hear this vibrato, but the vibrato isn't. It has utility behind it more than just to be pretty. It allows you to feel how much he believes what he's saying. And everybody's got their own version of that. And it's wild. And that's my issue with people who try to sound the same as they did yesterday, is you're not allowing emotions. You're not allowing yourself to learn things and store them and use them.
Yeah.
If you're trying to stay the same person you were yesterday, then you're really, really hindering yourself from actually using the life lessons that we're given no matter what.
Yeah.
And I feel like that comes with singing, that comes with playing instruments, that comes with just being a fucking person.
Yeah.
But were you playing gigs when you were in Connecticut or are in Connecticut?
No, I told you I'm a shifter. I feel like
You're okay. I've moved 9 times.
Oh my God. You're so much more subtle. I feel like because I'm wearing heels for like the first time in
I think I'm also just high.
Dude,
Keeps the body still.
keeps the body moving. No, I'm actually not a big gig person because that's a lot of administrative work. And I will say my I don't know, axe that you fall on or like the knife that you fall on is always going to be administrative stuff and putting that into motion before, like, way in advance. So I typically do more songwriting. I work for Songfinch, and that has been a great job. I love it. Like, you just hear people's love stories.
It's so cool, and it's such a cool way to get to do what you love, but also understand that every time you do it, it's going to have the ability to touch people. Versus, like, don't get me wrong, people still keep doing sessions and shit, but you could write 100 songs and 2 might come out.
Yeah,
it's cool to know that song is going to have an impact on somebody's life for sure.
Yeah. Like the fact that they trust somebody else with telling their story. And it seems kind of hokey to say like, oh yeah, they're trusting the other pig you for a cert. But like a lot of these people are like, this is for my wedding, or this is a gift that I'm giving to propose to somebody. And you're like, don't make light of that. Like, it's how somebody feels, and that's somebody's life. And you're allowed to be a part of I found out that the first ever Songfinch job I did, the couple that got married, and their story was so cute. The woman who wrote in, her girlfriend had hair that she described as like clouds of lavender or something. And I just remember like seeing those details, knowing that somebody sees, especially when you're in love, somebody sees you like that and knows you like that. but I found out they got married recently, and they messaged me and they were like, "Thank you for writing this." And it was like, this is just my job. Like, you let me know about these things in your life. Like, you're the ones that are doing this. It's more of a, I feel like it sounds so corny, but it really just is like a privilege to hear about people's lives.
Absolutely. Real fast, will you explain to everybody out there what Songfinch is? Because it's a really fucking beautiful way to start in this industry and to find a career in this industry all at the same time. It allows you to make a living writing music, which at the end of the day, it adds to those 10,000 hours. You know, like it's got so much use outside of just being monetary. Yes. So yeah, will you explain kind of what it is real fast?
Yeah. It's basically you get contracted as a songwriter and an artist and sometimes a producer as well, to write people's personalized wedding songs and anniversary songs. And then from there, you know, they'll let you know if they want any revisions or anything, but you make a good amount of money just hearing about people falling in love. And I will say, like, one of the things about LA that I struggled with was I felt like in sessions you were writing because you're trying to be commercial or you're trying to appeal to a certain audience. But here it's just like, it doesn't matter if you use a 4 minor somewhere or if you're, you know, whatever theory you might be attempting to use to make it sound cool. It's just, you're just telling somebody's story. And this person is going to love it regardless because it's for them and about them and it's going to be in a significant part of their life. Or maybe just like a just because gift, but it's still like a choice that someone is making to show love.
And I don't think there's such thing as a just because gift. I think there's always just because is just because you love them or just because you care about them or just because you want them to be well.
Yeah.
You know, it's all baked in emotion. And it's such a cool thing that you're able to do and such a great way to practice, to make money, to get your voice out there, to get better. Yeah. And to be able to surround yourself with a world that's full of everything you love. Yeah. And eventually it comes to a point where maybe you don't have to do it, but you're going to still love to do it. Yeah. Like, how cool would that be too? And that's on the way too. And it's all part of those hours. Yeah. It's wild. What are some of the musical influences you had? Like, are there any artists that you grew up with? And I also want to hear about some artists that you're digging from, like, right now.
Yeah. Growing up, my dad was really into 80s music. My mom was really into pop country, so I listened to a lot of Keith Urban.
Fuck yeah.
We got a CD stuck in the car when we were going up to go to a mountain or something. And it was the only CD we had. So we listened to that CD like 4 or 5 times. So that was a big one. And my dad, you know, he loved Stevie Wonder. He loved the Bee Gees. Rupert Holmes is a really big one. His song Answering Machine. My dad showed it to me. And I will never forget, my dad was just so excited about the lyrics because this dude is basically saying, like, he's trying to propose to this girl, but he's calling her up. And the chorus is like, "I'm so sorry, you've just reached my answering machine." And it's so clever. And it's someone trying to say, like, "I love you," but then the answering machine cuts off. And then he says this line that's like, "I stepped out to buy some dog food for the cat." And I remember my dad going, like, "That's hilarious." He paused the song to say, "That's hilarious."
I love that. It's such a eclectic but important mixture of music. Yeah. I've just been thinking about the session now, and it makes sense. There's like these... It's just like these little tropes that come from both genres, and then also obviously things that come from the rest of your life that you found on your own. Yeah. What are some artists that you're listening to now?
Pertinence is a big one. He's this rapper. He actually has like a house party today, and he was like, "You can RSVP to come to our party for free." And I was like, I am totally going to hike my ass out there. Not going to hike my ass out there, but it's just nice to know that this dude, like, he is
Pertinence.
So creative. Yeah, if you get a chance,
check him out.
He's got a song called Bobby Boucher where he does a bit where he's Adam Sandler. Or he's like, everyone's like, "You sound like Adam Sandler." And he's like, "I don't fucking sound." And then he does an Adam Sandler line and he sounds just like him.
No way. Oh, I'm so excited. What kind of, you said is rap?
Yeah, he's hip hop. I don't know how to describe it. Like, you know the Lorem playlist?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you have interesting sounds in there and everything, but it has so much personality.
I hate genres, but I also love genres because they're such an easy way to explain to people, but they're also such a fucking box.
Yeah.
Playlists might be the new genre.
I hope so, because I feel like it's hard. Like, if people ask me how I write, I keep moving away. If people ask me how I write, I'm always like, well, I'm like alt pop, but if you took Bo Burnham and put him on crack for like 34 hours.
With a mixture of New Music Friday.
Yeah, exactly. And then like a sprinkle of the Wiggles in there, because who didn't grow up listening to
I love the Wiggles.
Did you see that they're on tour again?
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how you throw out your back. They gotta be old.
I feel like they have different people, but I saw that. And like the Jonas Brothers are touring too.
That's crazy. We're really in a weird time of nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
But nostalgia is definitely my favorite emotion. I can fucking thrive in it.
You thrive?
I love it.
You don't get,
love it.
sad. I used to live in it, and it like crippled me for a time because I was like, and I couldn't focus on. But it's such a nice
interesting way of thinking about it. I guess because it's. I've never really thought about it as something that I can't have anymore. If that makes sense, because it's so. Everything there is so accessible. But in the long run, most of the things that feel nostalgic are also feel childish, you know? So I enjoy that I've had that feeling, but like I went back and tried to watch Rocket Power and I was like, oh boy, like this is really tough. Like I'm really not 5 anymore.
No, you like don't relate to the characters anymore and you're like, what do you mean?
It's been like 22 years since then. But it's just, it's a wild feeling and it's such a valuable asset to have. Like these memories, it's like if I hear the theme song to Zoe 101 come on, I'm fucking dancing.
You're up.
I'm having a blast. Or iCarly or
Drake and Josh.
Oh my God. I have a story about Drake. Me and Elle, when we first moved out here, we went to a restaurant and he was sitting directly next to me. It was just like a bar. And the whole time he was just talking about how he's going to become the next biggest DJ. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this on the podcast, but also, I don't know. I don't think he's watching this.
Drake, I know that he performed in Boston, and I was so sad I couldn't see him because I just can't imagine him as a DJ. Like
I think he's like having some issues right now too, which sucks because he was talented. I loved the show. It was such a fundamental part of my childhood. He
was always so funny. I remember there was like a blooper where like on iCarly where they were talking about something and then Drake Bell just walks in and he picks up a taco or something and he's like, what's going on, guys? What are you doing here, Megan?
I loved when they would fucking mix the shows and the worlds.
Right?
That was my favorite. They don't do that anymore like they used to. That was like every channel would do that with their shows. And sometimes you would have the mixture of Nick and Disney. I might have made that up, but I really hope I'm right.
I hope the ones I remember were like those ones or like Lilo and Stitch and Kim Possible.
Those were two. Yeah,
that's actually my text tone.
That was mine for years.
Right? It's just you feel like when you're getting an important message.
That made me believe in naked mole rats.
Dude, naked mole. I wanted a naked mole rat for the longest time. I ended up getting
his name?
Rufus.
Rufus.
He had a whole song too.
Wow.
Nixon, you need to throw something at me before I do the Rufus, please.
No promises. A phone just comes flying.
I used to listen to Kim Possible's I know Christy Carlson Romano, I think that's her name. Christy Ray Romano. The voice of Kim Possible is starting to do stuff again. And I'm just really excited that Kim Possible is just like out in the world.
Oh my God, I always want to hear her voice. That's how I felt about Lizzie McGuire.
Oh my God.
That was my first concert ever, was seeing her and she touched my hand 4 times.
Did you ever wash that hand again?
No, it's been 20 years.
God bless.
Yeah, it's gross. She was my favorite. I remember that concert, going there with my mom and climbing up to the front of the stage like it was yesterday. And I don't remember what I did yesterday.
How old were you when you did that?
I had to be like 12, 10. Damn. Maybe even younger. But I remember it so well. Do you remember those little breath mint things that they used to sell back in the early 2000s? They were like the little balls.
Yes.
And you bite on it and it's like got the liquid in it.
Yes.
That's who the show was sponsored by, and they had these big vats of them. And I remember going home and just having like my whole pockets filled. I don't know where I remember this, but I do very, very well.
You remember the important things in your life, I truly believe.
The food I ate yesterday was not important, apparently.
No, and if you filed your taxes, it should be important. No, but
not important.
I remember going to a Big Time Rush concert.
That would be a fucking blast. There's touring again.
I saw that my housemate, actually, he asked me last year, I think, if I wanted to go to a Big Time Rush concert because his job just happened to have tickets. And he was like, I'm going to be honest, I think it was either like, I don't think it was Creed. It was some really impressive rock band or Big Time Rush. And he was like, I picked the Big Time Rush tickets because I thought you would want those more. And I was like, I don't know if I like that you know me like this. But
Did you go?
No, I could. I was away.
But you said you have seen them.
I did. When I was a kid, I saw them with a childhood friend of mine, Izzy, and we were just losing our, like, we were trying to be like, oh, we're too cool for this. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they came out on stage, we both started crying. Like, it was instantaneous.
What was the band, the Naked Brothers band?
Oh my God. He was in a horror movie.
Really?
He was in, Nixon, do you know what the one I'm talking about? Hereditary.
What?
That was him from unless I'm really mistaken.
I've never seen Hereditary. I don't watch scary movies.
That one is more like psychologically traumatizing. Like there are elements of horror in it, but it's really just like watching a family fall apart after like someone fundamental in the family dies. But I think who's the older one? Is it Nate or Alex?
I don't know. I just remember them as watching their show and being like, oh, I'm going to wear a suit with the arms cut off.
Did they actually do that?
Yeah, they had like the vest suit. There were shorts.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that is something. Slick my hair back.
Dude, Disney and Nick fashion was a trip. Like it makes you think that you should dress this way, but you really don't need a vest, a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and like a scarf that looks like your blanket.
And Uggs.
And Uggs. No matter who, it's always
Uggs. That was just the early 2000s in a nutshell. Uggs. And all the girls wore something called sugar lips back in the day that I remember.
I forgot about those. Those things were, I feel like a soda, but you put them on your lips, and that was the same amount of sugar you'd get from drinking a soda.
Oh, I mean, they were like these shirts called sugar lips, and I might make that. I might be making that up too.
I'm thinking of some kind of. There was like maybe it was lip smackers that I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, all the different flavors, and people would collect them.
Yeah, that was, and they were just so sweet. I think I remember the sugar lips as a. I'm 11 concussions deep, man. I'm
probably pretty close, to be honest.
How did you get your concussions?
I was a snowboarder, skateboarder, mountain biker, and
oh god,
batted all of them.
Hell yeah!
Added on. So yeah, I have some stories. I just don't remember them.
That's generally how that goes.
What about you? How'd you get them?
Snowboarding, climbing,
badass.
Trying to wrestle my ex-boyfriend at the bar that I worked at while I was actually wearing these shoes.
Some platforms to fuck him up.
Yeah, I was his bartender.
I guess they're heels.
They're
heel platforms.
Yeah, so that's why you think you have more stability. But then I tried to. I like to think that I'm basically Kim Possible. I'm not Kim Possible. Like you hear that ringing in your head as you go to the hospital because you knocked yourself out.
They give us so many shows that made us believe that first of all we can have a laboratory and have powers.
Right?
I've got none.
That was the hardest part of Avatar, was like, I will never be an earthbender as badly as I want it.
That's how I felt about the other one, too. I'll never be a blue person. With a tail who can jump and climb at insane speeds.
Aren't they also like 9 feet tall or something?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of differences.
Shit.
Yeah, it's pretty much all the differences. But that's okay. They will never be a Jewish curly-haired kid with glasses who sits in a studio and has a podcast.
And has a sick hat.
I appreciate that. Yeah, they'll never have a sick hat.
No.
They could.
They could, but they don't.
They might.
No.
They don't.
Until proven wrong. We're going to go with this.
So what are you working on? You were telling me, I don't know if I should be saying this, but if not, we can bleep it and they'll just wonder. You're working on an EP?
Yes. Yeah, we actually just finished it. So we're going to send it to mixing and mastering. But it's called This Is What I Get for Dating a Musician. And it was the songs that I wrote back in 2020 that Nixon and I have been working on. And it's been really, really nice. Even cross-country, because I live in Connecticut and he's still out here. Mm-hmm. But it's been really nice to still work on these projects and everything. So that will be coming out soon. One song that came out off of the EP as a single was called You Don't Get to See My Dog. And I think that's still one of my favorite songs about my old dog and an ex that asked if he could see my dog. And I said no. But I didn't think that hammered it home. So I wrote a song for him. And ironically, actually, I showed it to him and he said it was okay to release because I wanted to make sure it was okay.
I've talked about this with Abby and I've talked about this with my girlfriend. The scariest thing you can do in the world is to date a songwriter because they will remind you for the rest of your life how much you fucked up.
Yeah, I warn people before I date them that it's like, you will at some point end up in a song. They're mostly going to be good. I really try to just write positive, nice songs, and everything, no matter how it goes. But like sometimes you just get some shit where you're like, hey man, this one's just a little too out of pocket. Like, I gotta let you know.
But that shit's necessary, and your job as a songwriter is to take your experiences and write about them. And I think that's fucking beautiful and terrifying for whoever's on the other side.
Thank you. And I will be quoting you on that to people when, they're like, well, does anyone really feel positively about this? Because
you know what? I'm dating a songwriter, and I can vouch, greatest thing in the world.
Oh, she wrote a song with Abby that was amazing.
They're so stupid good at writing together.
That was not fair. Hearing that song, I was like, what do you mean?
Well, and that was one of 40, 50 that they wrote in like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Holy
like legit,
shit.
like insane amounts of top level music.
I mean, Abby also works for Songfinch, and I tend to burn out after a while. Like, I can do maybe like 8 songs a week, and then I'm like, okay, this is too much.
She doesn't stop.
She doesn't stop. No, she was like, yeah, I've kind of slowed down. I'm doing like 9, 10 a week. And I was like, what do you mean slowing down? Like, that's not slowing down.
It's insane. And she means it. She fucking means it. And she knows her shit, and she can do 100% of it completely on her own. She doesn't need fucking help from anybody at any point, which I wish I could say for myself. It's impressive. I'm a fan.
Oh, always.
While being a good person.
Yes. This is an Abby fan account.
Happy fan account. Absolutely.
That's what this is now. I don't know if it's possible to like superimpose an image of Abby right here, but if we
right
could just
here.
Where do I look? I hope she sees it. have to do it.
I'm going to clip that part and I'll send it to her.
Please do.
But thank you fucking for coming on here. Thank you for letting me take part in that badass session. That was so fun.
Oh my God, thank you for having us and for asking me to be here. I tried to warn you before this.
This was a blast. This was a fucking blast. I'm glad we did this. I'm excited, and I'm excited for people to see the video, see a live performance, hear the music. Tell them where to find you. Tell them where you'll be and what you're making.
I will be in Connecticut avoiding, I don't know which camera to look at. I will be in Connecticut avoiding people, but I'm on Spotify under Sophia Lazuna. See, I'm basically my college. Sophia Lanuza.
Basically my college.
I'm on Instagram. And I'm kind of on TikTok, but I'm not really on TikTok because TikTok scares me.
It's scary.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, for letting us into your sick-ass studio.
Of course. This is such a fucking blast. I'm excited to do some more.
Yes.
We got an open invite.
Oh,
so whenever you're back, we'll do another one for sure.
I'll be back.
And we'll get that man on real soon.
Nixon.
The man who is not seen at the moment, but I promise you will know who he is. Fuck yeah. I'm going to get rid of that part when the weed hits. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Go support, go listen, share with your friends, share with your family. And to everybody listening,
my name is Sophia Lanuza, and this is an experiment.
Fuck yeah, it is. Thank you, everybody. Love you.
The experience is the experiment.